If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Our guest today is going to give us some insights and tips about travelling horses, particularly over long distances. Barbara Padalino is an equine vet. She's completed a PhD study about behavioural, clinical and respiratory responses to 8-hour transportation in horses. Now, don't worry, she's not going to get too high-tech and too clinical. I have asked her to deliver the message in a layman or a practitioner point of view, but she's going to talk about the preparation of the horses before the trip, during the trip and after a trip to keep our horses happy and healthy, which after all is what we're all about. How are you today, Barbara?
I'm fine, thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, great to have you too. Barbara, we normally start off with a favourite quote. Have you got one for us today?
Yes, I have. And the quote is, "In riding a horse, we borrow freedom."
Ah, yes. Now, is that a Winston Churchill?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they're very good, very good. And if you're wondering about Barbara's accent, she's actually on a call today from Italy.
Yeah, I'm from Italy originally.
Okay. All right. Barbara, how did you actually start with horses? What are your first memories?
I started riding when I was 12, and my mom always said that horses for me is a genetic disease, because when I turned 12, I just, I born like without horses and so on. And when I turned 12, I begged my father to buy me a horse. And I asked to my father because my grandfather used to be horse breeder. Mm-hmm. And my dad sold all the horses when I was born. So I don't know, maybe genetics and stuff like that. So when I turned 12, I asked my dad to buy me a horse. He clearly bought me a horse and we started riding together. And then I had a bad fall from a horse and my mom sent me to a riding school.
Okay. To a riding school to get your lessons and to learn how to ride properly, is that right? Yeah. Good.
Yeah, which is, I think it's really, really, really important. And I would say that, since I was 13, I'm studying how to, approach a horse, how to train a horse. Mm-hmm. And as you know, we never finish to learn.
Oh, absolutely. And they're beautiful animals, but they're big and they're powerful. And I think, if everyone can go to a riding school and get those lessons with an experienced person first, that's absolutely ideal.
Yeah, I agree. Safety first.
Yes, definitely. Now, what about your career? Because you're an equine vet now. Now, as a 12 and 13-year-old, did you plan to be an equine vet, or when did you start to think about that as a career?
When I was probably 15, 16, I had a horse which was suffering from colic. Mm-hmm. And they have such an eyes when they are in pain. And in that moment, I felt so bad because I could not do anything for my horse. And so I decided to become a vet and then also really to study to safeguard horse welfare. And this is why also my topic in research are good health and good welfare.
Yep. Now, what do you think if someone was talking to you, if they wanted to become an equine vet, what would you recommend for them before they start? What core skills or character traits would they need to have?
They must be hard worker and they should like studying, because to get into a vet school, you need anyway good mark from the school. So I'll say they should start planning their career already when they are at school, at the high school, and maybe, just be good at chemistry, biology, maths, which anyway are the first subject in vet. And it's really important to have good mark in these subjects so that, you can get a place in a good vet school. Mm-hmm. And then while they are students, they just try to study and take the best from their lecture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's the best thing now as an equine vet about working with horses?
Look, I really enjoy the relationship with horses, and as a vet, I'm more expert in sport and internal medicine. So, for me, when I have a poor performance horses and, it's my case, and then I make a correct diagnosis, a correct therapy, and often I start from the base, I change feeding, training, and all these things. And then the horse win again. That is priceless for me.
Yeah, good. All right. Now, people who've helped you along the way, has there been anyone in particular, like you talked about your father, who was supportive of you getting a horse? Anyone else that you think stands out in helping you with your career?
I would say the first vet who was, my supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
He was, because he passed away very young. He was a really horse person. He also grew up on the racetrack from a family of jockeys.
Yep.
And we met at the racetrack, and when I was still studying that. And he told me just this simple quote. He told me when I graduated, "Oh, Barbara, you have lots of skills, but don't do anything if you are not sure about. So if you need anything, just don't try anything on a horse, just call me."
Okay.
And this is how my career started.
Good.
And I think it's really important also for all the young vets. Be a vet can be challenging. So, and if a vet is not sure, it's normal. But the best things to do is probably report a case or ask a more experienced.
And the other thing is too that I think, and it's the same thing with coaches, once you're qualified, doesn't mean you're an expert. It just means that's when you start your journey. And it'd be the same with vets. Once you're qualified, that's when you start your journey.
Yeah, and as I said before, we never start learning, and there will be always a horse which has a particular pathology which you have never seen, and the same for a coach. Might be just have a horse which a particular temperament or a particular history, particular experience. So maybe the horse is just more be challenged to handle or to ride.
Yep. Okay, Barbara, what do you think been your proudest moment with horses and as an equine vet?
As an equine vet, I think I saved lots of horses, and as I told you, had difficult case of really good performance horses, and then when they won again. But at this point of my life, I'm quite proud of my PhD.
Yes.
And
I thought you'd say that actually, yeah. Well, you put a lot of work into it. It's taken a long time.
Yeah. Because my PhD is clearly is a great piece of academia, but we try to be really practical. And as you told before, I've studied the implication of transportation on horse health and welfare. So I try to identify risk factor in all the transport-related disease, travel sickness, colic, heat stress. And it was quite challenging.
Yep. And we'll talk about that in a minute, because I think, you should be proud of it, but also too, it's the ongoing help that you're giving. It's not just, it's sort of like you become a vet and then it takes a long time to become a better vet. But it's the same thing with your PhD. Like, it's great doing the PhD, but then all the horses that you're going to save, to even save them from the sickness and keeping them happier and healthier, I think that's a really important accomplishment as well.
Yeah, exactly. I always used to say that as a vet, I could save probably only one horse per day.
Yes.
Instead, now that I'm in research, I really hope to save much more horses in a day. You know what I mean? I hope to spread the results of my research so that more people do the right thing, so that we can prevent lots of disease.
Yes.
And much more horses will be happy.
Well, look, we can talk about it now. So, first of all, what sort of sickness can horses get? We hear about travel sickness, but can you give us just a brief description of what can happen to a horse if they travel for over long distances and they're not looked after correctly?
Yeah. One of the most famous is travel sickness, which in Australia is named travel sickness, in America shipping fever. The correct name is transport pneumonia. So it's basically is an infection of the lung. And so it's challenging because it starts with really strange symptoms. Often, there is no running nose, no coughing, but you have just a bit of fever and can be also fatal. So if you don't make a correct diagnosis soon, the horse can also die. And this is the same from a particular colic, which is the name is enterocolitis. It's basically diarrhea, profuse diarrhea, always with fever. And these two diseases may kill a horse also in 48 hours. Yeah. So I would say these are the worst, but then you can also have less tragic, if you like. So just, just a bit of running nose, or just any kind of inflammation of the airways, or colic, constipation colic, or, just a diarrhea for 1 or 2 days without a proper infection. Or also common can be injuries. Lots of horses got injured during transport, and then we can also have heat stroke, so thermal stress.
Okay. Yep.
It's too hot.
Yep. All right. So what should we do then in the preparation, in the weeks leading up to the travelling? What can we do to help minimise this?
Yeah. So basically, all these diseases are related to stress. So the horse gets too much stress during the journey, and so all this stress affect his immune system, and often also subclinical disease become clinical. So the first point is trying to get the horse used to transport. So now my first tip is training. And I know it sounds strange because we spoke about disease, and
well, you're still talking about stress though, so
Yeah. So the first thing is really training your horse to load and to transport. So probably you have already heard about Dr. Catherine Haupt. She started studying transport and transport stress in 1980, and she has developed and she has spread this training, habituation training. So, it's really important that when we have a horse, and even better if we have a foal, just leading the mare into the trailer up and down, or leave the trailer in a paddock and feed the horses inside. So make for the horse going into the trailer or into a truck as natural as going into a paddock on a box. So, because, the problem is horses have this genetic fear of loading into a vehicle.
Yes.
A vehicle is.
Yes.
But the second important step in habituation training is that then you should try to simulate short journey. Longer before you really move your horses for a long journey, you should just spend a bit more time. So you load your horse and you go just for a short journey, and then you unload. So, the horse really need to get habit to all the stressors which are related to transport. So noise, vibration, orientation. And this is really habituation training. And I've done some research, and actually habituation training is the only training methods which really reduce all transport-related injuries and disease.
Okay.
So the risk.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
Definitely also self-loading, all these other training are important. But we need, because one of the biggest, if you like, mistake is that we just think that the only challenge is the loading, or, the majority of the training focus only on loading. But I say it's not only loading, but also the traveling part. So we need to be better in training your horses in how to travel.
Okay.
Yeah, and then second is now we go back to disease, fitness for transport.
Okay,
So,
yes.
It's really, I would suggest there is a simple guideline that you might also spread. This is called Fitness for Transport of Equide. And it's like a simple booklet with lots of picture and explain how the owner, the trainer, the coach should assess the fitness for transport. And just to make sure your horse is fit and healthy, so that it should be okay. You can cope better.
Yes. Okay. And then moving on then to just before the trip, what else? I mean, this would be done in the weeks leading up to it, to teach the horse to load, to travel, to do that habituation training, to get them fit for transport. But what about, the morning before, the day before? What sort of preparation do we need there?
Yes, it's really important to give plenty of water and hay before the transport. So never withdraw water, never withdraw food. But just leave your horses water and hay freely before the transport. Because transport will induce dehydration. So, it's really important that the horse has a lot of hay in his gut, because hay means also electrolyte and water. Yeah. Okay. So really simple. There is nothing special, if you like, but just do right thing, and that will be simple preparation for transport.
Oh, hang on a sec. Let me interrupt to let people know about the horse industry qualifications at onlinehorsecollege.com. If you have a look at the flexible options, there's online theory, and the practical components can be completed by video or with a qualified expert in your area. That website again is onlinehorsecollege.com. Okay, thanks. What's your view on the horse's availability for hay during the trip? Should they have it? Should they not have it? Because there's lots of ideas about why they should have hay and lots of ideas why they shouldn't have hay.
I know, this is still a question, and this is my next research.
Good.
Comparing.
So I should ask you back after you've done your next PhD or your next research, and you can talk to us about that.
Yes. So far I can tell you or explain you why it's a matter of debate. So we have done a research with Professor Sharon Radial, and we tested fasting, so 12 hours in a fasting condition, no food at all, and this is no good. So it can lead to stomach ulceration. So I can tell you, for a long journey, something like 12 hours fasting is definitely wrong. And
Yes.
We have not done the part where we compare the effect of food and how much food and the positioning of food. So the big issues so far is that other research have proven that if you put hay on the nostril level, so the typical hay bag just in front of the head of the horse, this practice may lead more to travel sickness or
is that because they're not getting the head down low?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And also because in the hay can be dust, and then if it's at the nostril level, all the dust will go straight in the lung. So we actually, with this practice, we increase the risk of infection in the lung. So we actually would like to test always hay, but dampened hay, so that we reduce the quantity of dust in the trailer, which other research have proven also as a risk factor, and then put this hay really low, at least at the knee level. So in this way, the horses will be motivated to load the head. But as I said, as a scientist, I cannot tell you this is the truth because I need to do my experiment first.
All right. Now, how many horses will you use in the study?
We have a project that will be 12 horses in we call a time square. We test the first 12, then wash out, and then we do the other 12. So then they become basically 24 in both situations.
Okay, now what about during the trip then? Because we talked a little bit about the feed. What else can they do during the trip?
So as you mentioned before, it's really, really important that the horse is free to put his head down. When a horse is really nervous and stressed, he will elevate his head. So it's really important that we try to, as I said before, make the journey less stressful. as we can. So like this means, good vehicle and less vibration as possible, good road, and also, try not to travel when it's really 40 degrees outside.
Yes.
So just plan your journey like a good vehicle, check your vehicle, and make sure like you choose the better road, not minor road up and down the hill, turning, just try to go on a good road. And then keep the horse even free. Like if it's possible, don't tie your horse, never cross tie. But, if you have to tie, then make sure that he is able to lower his head, at least at the knee level.
Mm-hmm.
And the other recommendation which I have is also to monitor the horse. So buy a little camera and check your horse. Because, if everyone can understand if the horse is really in a stressful situation, you know what I mean? It will be really tossing his head and pawing and tail wishing. So, just have a look. And then if the horse is really in this bad situation, maybe, stop, find the right place. I'm not saying unload your horse in the middle of the road, find the right spot and maybe give him a bit of a rest.
Okay. And when they have that rest, a good idea to graze and get the head down?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Water.
Yes.
Give water. We should aim to give water at least every 4 hours. And then if we can give water and, again, a bit of hay or like grass in Australia, is not a big issue to find grass in Europe a bit more, even like in a half an hour.
Yep.
Just put the head down, relax a bit, pee, because lots of horses cannot really pee in the trailer.
Okay.
And then they can have problems.
Yep. All right. Now, after the trip, so as soon as the horse unloads, is everything all over, or is there special care that we've got to have after the trip?
Again, I would suggest, in particular, if the journey is longer than 8 hours, give 24-hour rest on a pasture. In Australia, that would be the best that you can. But also monitor the health of your horse. So simple stuff like, just take the temperature might save the life of your horse. Mm-hmm. Because as I said, all these really bad disease, they always start with fever. So, just check if the horse is eating, is drinking, and take his temperature.
Okay.
I would say at least twice a day after a long journey. And then give him a bit of rest. Grazing would be the best because he will put the head down by himself. Otherwise, just give him a bit of hay on the floor level and make sure he's eating.
All right, good. Now, you mentioned a booklet before. What was the booklet again?
The name has been published from many associations like Horse Angel, World Horse Welfare, and the European Community. The title is Practical Guideline to Assess Fitness for Transport of Equidae.
We might get the link for that, I think, and put it on your page, which will be horsechats.com/Barbara Padalino, or just to search Horse Chats for Barbara. I think that's probably going to be the best way to get that. And what about, have you got another book that you'd recommend for our listeners as well that could complement their knowledge about horses or about travelling horses?
Yeah, I'm writing a book with Professor Chris Riley, and we hope to launch the book in September at next year ICES.
Oh, perfect. Okay, and we'll put the link. We might even talk to you again around about then or before or after ICES just to get some more details about that book, if that's okay, Barbara. That would be really good.
Yeah. And we were thinking actually at the practical day, really, have myself explain how to assess the fitness for transport.
Yep.
13 minutes at the practical day. We are still organizing, but
okay. Now, I was going to ask you what you're looking forward to, but I think you're certainly looking forward to that conference. Now, just tell us the dates for that again.
It will be from the 21st to the 24th of September in Rome.
Okay.
2018, clearly.
All right, and I can put the links for that on the same page, horsechats.com/ Barbara Padalino, and also too, I think Angelo Telleton's got those details on his page as well.
Yeah, we are trying to open, and will be soon, like probably in a couple of days already, like on the website with all the information. It's a draft of the program, all the keynote speaker, and we are trying to make something interesting, scientific, but also really practical.
Yeah.
Useful, and I think for all.
when you're coming in with the scientific background, you're sort of, you're not talking your opinion, you're talking about, proven scientific methods to make the horse's life better. So I think, everyone's got to be able to support that. Okay. Now, Barbara, just in a few sentences, would you be able to summarise your philosophy with horses?
That's a good question. I think you need to be passionate about horses. You need to love horses, and you need to understand horses. I really think that to be a good rider, a good trainer, a good vet, a good driver, we need to communicate with horses properly. And this is why we need to learn horse behavior. We need to understand horse body language, and we need to learn how to approach horses properly. And if we are able to communicate with horses, then we can be good horse rider, horse trainer, horse vet, whatever you like.
I think that's a big one, isn't it? Communicating with horses better. That's an ongoing skill that I think, is just a never-ending one at this stage.
Yeah. I think, just to make a laugh, as an equine vet, I started with a passion for horse behavior, and I'm a bit strange, as a vet, having all this background in horse behavior. But, when there were difficult cases, and I mean, I used to go as a reference vet, and then I used just to watch the horse. And then I could say already what he was suffering from. Yep. And all the others were looking at me and said, "What? How do you do that? Did the horse tell you?"
Yes.
And I said, "Yeah, in a way. Yeah, he told me." Because I just, and and often too many horses, for really, if you like, you forget really to watch the horses and learn from his behavior. And then, an X-ray can tell you a lot, but the horses probably can tell you something more.
Yep. All right. Now, Barbara, can people contact you through ISIS, or would you prefer them to contact you through your phone or email?
Whatever they like. You can give all my details, my email, my phone, my Skype.
Okay.
My mission now is really spread the voice.
Yes.
I'm a horse lover. I'm a horse owner. So I'm one of you, and whoever is passionate like me is my friend.
Okay. All right. Been very good talking to you today. I think that you've provided a lot of information and education about travelling for people to then take that on, and hopefully they'll go ahead and use that, and their horse will have a better trip next time. We do tend to travel long distance, but even short distances, there was a lot of information there for people travelling horses short distance. And hopefully we'll catch up with you again sometime soon, Barbara. When you release your book, we can talk about what's in the book and go over that as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, before you go, if you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look, horsechats.com.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.